The galaxy was at peace, or at least that was what the Galactic Council liked to believe. Thousands of alien races lived under its rule. Trade flowed between worlds, treaties were signed, and great cities floated among the stars. Too many. The age of war and exploration had ended, but peace has a way of breaking when the unknown arrives. It began quietly with a signal at first. It was dismissed as static interference. Then, as a possible echo from some long-lost probe, but when it repeated every 24 hours, the Council's scientists grew restless. The signal came from a dark, uncharted corner of the spiral arm, a region every map marked as uninhabitable Zone 9. The message contained only 3 words. The translation system struggled at first, but when they succeeded, the words were simple: "We are coming." No one in the council chamber understood who had sent it or why. Some thought it was a warning. Others believed it was a mistake for Chancellor Velron. A proud and cautious leader of the crystalline Zetherian race, the words carried unease. He stood at the center of the Golden Hall, light reflecting off his transparent body. "Who is coming?" he asked, his voice cold. "And why from a world no one can survive?" The debate began and spread like wildfire. Admiral Korath of the Varan fleet, a reptilian warlord with deep blue scales, laughed at the fear of others. "It's nothing," he said, pounding his clawed hand on the table. "Probably pirates or smugglers playing tricks. Let them come. We'll show them the strength of the council." But Ambassador Leary, from the gentle-winged Illyrians, shook her head. "I do not sense playfulness in that signal," she said softly. "It feels ancient, purposeful." For weeks, scientists studied it, hoping to find its source. And then the stars themselves changed. Across the outer rim, massive shapes appeared on long-range scans. They weren't natural formations. They moved too precisely. Whole fleets of unknown ships emerged, traveling silently through the void. Each ship was black, not polished, but dull and scarred. They emitted no identification signals, no light except for the faint red glow of engines. They moved like a single being, all perfectly synchronized. When the first Council scout ship approached, it tried to open communication. No reply came. Instead, the unknown vessels slowed, and one of them turned to face the scout. Its massive hull filled the screen. The scout captain's heart froze. Sensors failed. Radiation levels spiked far beyond safety limits. Then the unknown ship opened a single bay door, revealing what seemed like fire inside. The scout retreated at once. Back at Vareth Prime, panic spread. "Who are they?" the council demanded. "What species builds ships that can endure radiation fields and crushing gravity?" Admiral Korath ordered his fleets to stand ready. "Whoever they are," he said, "they will not enter our space without permission." Yet the mysterious fleet did not attack. They merely stopped at the border of council territory and waited. For 3 long days, the galaxy held its breath. Then, at last, a voice came through all communication channels. It was calm, human-like, and strangely deep. "We come in peace. We received your call for help, requesting permission to make contact." The council chambers erupted in confusion. "What call for help?" Korath roared. "We sent no such signal." But Ambassador Leary remembered. "Long ago," she said, "before I was born, our ancestors sent a message into the dark asking if any strong species existed who could defend us from the Void Swarm. We believed no one ever answered. Chancellor Velron stared at the glowing console. And now they have." He gave the order. "Let them approach. But prepare our defenses. I want to see what kind of beings answer a 1,000-year-old call." The following week changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about life. The fleet entered. Orbit around Vareth Prime. Its ships were massive. Unlike anything the Council had ever built. They were not made for beauty or luxury. They were built for survival. Their armor was burned, their plating mismatched, their design seemed ancient but efficient. And yet, the energy readings from them were terrifying. Even the Council's most powerful reactors looked weak in comparison. When the flagship opened its landing bay, something stepped out. Humans. They walked calmly down the ramp, wearing armor that looked weathered and scratched, but functional. Their faces were scarred, their eyes sharp and alert. Their movements were measured, the kind of movement that came from years of surviving danger. Admiral Korath expected beasts or savages. What he saw instead were soldiers, disciplined and silent. The leader of the group removed his helmet and spoke. "I am Commander Elias Ward, of the United Earth Expeditionary Corps. We come from the Deathworld, known as Earth. We received your signal for help against the Void Swarm. Is the threat still active?" The word Deathworld made every alien present freeze. Deathworlds were a myth among the stars. Planets so harsh that no intelligent life could evolve there. Worlds with crushing gravity, deadly weather, and unstable ecosystems. Worlds where life itself fought to survive every second, and yet these humans claimed to come from one. Velron struggled to respond. "We, the Void Swarm it is." Contained. For now, Commander Ward looked around, his expression unreadable. "Good, but it won't stay that way forever. We've seen what they do, and we've come prepared." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. "Prepared?" asked Leary carefully. "For what?" Ward's voice was calm but firm. "For war." Over the next few days, human and alien engineers exchanged data. The council was shocked by what they saw in human technology, not because it was advanced, but because it was brutally practical. Every human system was built for function, not appearance. Their ships could fight in radiation storms. Their suits could withstand vacuum, and their weapons, though simple, were devastating. "Your armor looks damaged," one alien scientist said curiously. A human technician smiled. "That's from home," he said. "We don't replace things when they break. We fix them until they work again." The aliens didn't understand that kind of endurance. Humans spoke of a planet with freezing poles, burning deserts, violent storms, and predators on every continent. A world where even the air could kill if you climbed too high. They spoke of surviving all of it and thriving. Slowly, the council began to realize what Deathworlder truly meant. It didn't mean monsters. It meant survivors. When the humans were invited to attend a formal meeting in the Great Council Hall, every species sent a representative to watch. Rumors had spread across the galaxy, stories of humans who could walk through fire, who laughed at pain, who lived on a world that killed weaker species in minutes. Commander Ward stood before them, his voice steady. "Your message asked for help against the Void Swarm. We know what they are. They attacked our colonies once, and we stopped them. But they will come again. When they do, you'll need more than ships. You'll need resolve." Admiral Korath rose from his seat. "You speak boldly, human. But what makes you think your kind can protect the galaxy?" Ward's gaze met his without fear. "Because we've already done it. We learned to fight on a world that tries to kill us every day. We don't surrender. Not to weather, not to predators, not to war. And when we choose to protect something, we don't stop until it's safe." The silence that followed was heavy. Even Korath had no words. Velron finally spoke, his crystalline body flickering with thought. "If your words are true, then perhaps the galaxy has underestimated your people." Ward nodded slightly. "Perhaps, but we didn't come here for glory. We came because someone asked for help. That's what we do." That night, across Vareth Prime, aliens watched human soldiers move through their cities, calm, polite, but always alert. Children pointed in awe at their strange armor. Scholars took notes. Soldiers stared in quiet respect. One Illyrian guard whispered to another, "They don't act like conquerors." The other replied, "No, they act like people who've seen too much war." Stars drifted above, the humans prepared their ships. Scanning for any trace of the Void Swarm, Commander Ward stood on the observation deck, looking out at the alien world below. To him, it looked peaceful, too peaceful. He whispered softly to himself, "They don't understand what's coming." Behind him, his second-in-command, Captain Mara Cole, spoke quietly. "Do you think they'll listen?" Ward sighed. "They'll have to. When the swarm comes, it won't care about borders or treaties. It'll just eat everything. And when that day comes, he looked back at the fleet, the silent black ships of humanity forged by storms and fire. They'll see why we're called Deathworlders. The galaxy slept under false peace that night, unaware that something ancient was stirring in the void beyond their stars. But one thing was certain. The Deathworlders had arrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. Even with all their fleets, all their technology, and all their experience, the Council's alien races had never faced a force like it. Ships disappeared in seconds. Communications flickered and failed. Energy readings spiked beyond comprehension. The humans, however, were calm. They did not panic. They did not run. They had trained their entire lives for this kind of chaos, the kind of chaos their homeworld had made normal. Commander Elias Ward moved among the fleet with quiet authority, checking every system and speaking briefly with every officer. "Energy shields stable?" he asked one pilot. "Yes, sir," replied a young human with a scar across her cheek. "But the swarm's velocity is faster than anything we've recorded before." Ward nodded. "Then we'll match it. Adjust trajectory and keep formation." Around him, alien commanders watched in disbelief. Their fleets were massive, but the humans moved as one, precise and coordinated. It was not just skill, it was instinct. Admiral Korath, standing on the Varan flagship, gritted his teeth. "They are fearless. Too fearless. How is that possible?" Leery of the Illyrians, usually quiet and gentle, whispered, "They come from a world that breaks most life. Their courage is born from survival itself." The first attack came without warning. The void swarm emerged from the dark space near the edge of the system, hundreds of dark shapes moving like a single living entity. Energy blasts streaked through the void, destroying ships with terrifying speed. The Council's fleets fired back, but it was chaos. Many of their weapons misfired against the swarm's biological energy fields. Entire wings of ships were vaporized before they could maneuver. Panic spread. The humans, however, acted differently. "Form the shield wall," Ward ordered. "Do not break formation." The black human ships moved forward, forming a barrier between the swarm and the Council's homeworlds. The aliens watched as the humans took the first hits. Beams that would have destroyed any Council vessel barely left a scratch. The armor burned, the hull rattled, but they held. "Why don't they retreat?" Korath asked, incredulous. "They are not retreating," Leary said softly. "They endure." The swarm hit again. Hundreds of alien ships fell, their crews lost to the void. The humans pressed forward, closing the distance, ramming smaller swarm vessels and using missiles with deadly precision. It was not just courage, it was strategy. It was adaptation. In the midst of the battle, Captain Mara Cole of the human fleet noticed a cluster of swarm tendrils aiming for a colony planet. She turned to her team. "We can't let them reach the surface. Plot an intercept course and arm all kinetic weapons. Prepare boarding teams." "Boarding?" an alien observer asked in shock. "You are going into them?" Cole smiled grimly. "We don't always wait for the swarm to be destroyed. Sometimes we take it apart from the inside." The aliens could not believe their eyes. Human fighters dove into the swarm. They fired, rammed, and maneuvered with almost supernatural skill. Small boarding teams teleported onto the swarm vessels, sabotaging engines and cutting communications. Every move was deadly, efficient, and almost fearless. Even when a human fighter was hit, the pilot did not panic. They ejected safely, returned, and continued the attack. Their endurance seemed endless. Meanwhile, the Council's fleet was disorganized. Many alien captains had never seen war on this scale. They panicked, made mistakes, and fell one by one. But the humans, the Deathworlders, remained calm, precise, and lethal. Admiral Korath finally spoke through gritted teeth. "These humans, they fight like nothing I've ever seen. Their survival instincts, their tactics, it is impossible." "They are not impossible," Leary replied quietly. "They are molded by their homeworld. They are built for extremes. Everything we fear, They have survived. On Varith Prime, the Council watched the battle unfold on the grand screens. Cities trembled under the psychic waves of the swarm. Alarms sounded endlessly. And yet the humans continued their efforts with minimal loss. Commander Ward coordinated everything from the flagship. "Target the swarm's core cluster," he said. "Divide forces into 3 groups. 1 to attack the flanks, 1 to defend the Council fleet, and 1 my team to penetrate the center." A human lieutenant looked up. "Sir, the flanks are heavily armored." "We adapt. The swarm cannot predict us. It can only react." He was right. The swarm's movements were fast, but predictable in its aggression. Humans exploited its patterns, using them against it. They were fighting a predator with all the cleverness, skill, and resilience that only life forged in harsh conditions could give. One human pilot, Lieutenant Dax Harper, engaged a swarm vessel far larger than his own. The alien captains watching were certain he would die. Yet he maneuvered through tendrils and energy blasts, rammed the enemy, and detonated his ship's energy core in a controlled explosion. The swarm vessel was destroyed, and Harper ejected safely. Returning to formation, Korath turned to Leary. "No species should survive this. But they do. Every time. They do because they must," she whispered. "They cannot fail. Their home would not allow it." As the battle raged, the humans also protected the Council's fleet. They blocked deadly attacks, drew the swarm's fire, and even repaired damaged alien ships mid-battle. It was not charity, it was instinct. Protecting allies, preserving life. Surviving against impossible odds. Commander Ward's calm voice broadcast across the system. "If we hold, they will retreat. Stand firm. Trust your instincts. Fight for what matters." The Council's soldiers had never heard such words before. The humans were not shouting orders. They were calm, measured, confident, and deadly. By the 3rd day of battle, the swarm was weakening. The humans had learned its tactics, understood its weaknesses, and forced it into traps. Using coordinated strikes, boarding attacks, and sheer endurance, they began to break the swarm apart. When the swarm's central vessel appeared, massive, like a living fortress, Ward made his move. "I will lead the strike team. The rest of you hold position and protect the fleet. We take the core or die trying." Korath and the other aliens were horrified. "You will die," one yelled through comes. Ward's response was calm. "Then we die protecting others. That is our way." He led a squadron directly into the heart of the swarm. Cannons fired, missiles detonated, and tendrils struck at their ships. Yet, the humans pressed forward undeterred. They were fast, resilient, and precise. Inside the swarm's core vessel, boarding teams moved like shadows. They sabotaged weapons, disrupted energy flows, and planted explosives. Every step was dangerous. Every move counted. When the humans finally activated the core self-destruct, alarms blared and the vessel shook violently. The squadron ejected safely, barely escaping as the core exploded in a bright flash that could be seen across the system. The aftermath was staggering. Hundreds of alien ships were destroyed. The swarm was defeated. But the galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented. Humans stood among the Council's fleet scarred, tired but unbroken. Admiral Korath, once arrogant and prideful, approached Commander Ward. I have never seen anything like this. Your species, it is. Extraordinary." Ward shrugged, tired but calm. "We survive because we must. We fight because it matters. That is all." Leary stepped forward, her eyes wide with admiration. "Your people, they are unlike anything we imagined. They do not just fight. They endure. They adapt. They protect. The legends do not capture what you truly are." Ward's eyes scanned the remnants of the battlefield. "Legends never do," he said, "but we are here now. That is what counts." The galaxy had changed forever. The Council realized that Earth's people, the Deathworlders, were not just warriors. They were something more. Something alien civilizations could barely understand. Survivors forged by a world that would have destroyed anyone weaker. Across the system, alien fleets began to whisper the same words. Filled with awe and fear, the Deathworlders. They came, and they survived. For the humans, the battle was over for now. But they knew the galaxy was full of challenges far worse than the swarm. Still, they were ready. Commander Ward looked at his fleet. We've shown them what it means to survive. But this is only the beginning. Other threats will come. And when they do, Captain Mara Cole finished the sentence for him. They'll see why no one survives like the Deathworlders. Ward nodded, a small smile on his face. Exactly. And with that, humanity stood tall among the stars, proving that even in a galaxy of countless civilizations, their strength, courage, and endurance were unmatched. The galaxy would never forget the day that Deathworlders arrived, and how they fought to protect life against all odds. For the first time in centuries, the alien civilizations that had grown proud of their fleets and technology felt small. Ships floated in orbit over Vareth Prime, battered but alive. Alien commanders whispered in shock and awe. And on every screen, across every system, one name echoed. Deathworlders. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the flagship, his eyes scanning the stars. Around him, his crew worked quietly, efficient, precise. There was no celebration. Not yet. There was only the understanding that this victory was hard-earned, that the galaxy had more battles waiting. Admiral Korath of the Varen fleet approached. His scaled body shone under the light of the bridge, and his usual arrogance was gone. Instead, there was respect, tinged with disbelief. You humans, he said slowly, you fought, unlike anything I have ever seen. I thought our fleets were unmatched. I was wrong. Ward's expression remained calm. We fight to survive. That is all. And to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Korath's voice lowered. It is more than survival. It is courage, determination, willpower beyond reason. You are not like any species I have met. You are. Deathworlders, Ward finished quietly. Korath nodded. Yes, Deathworlders. Elsewhere, across the galaxy, the Council convened an emergency meeting. Their fleets were battered, their technology tested to its limits, and their pride shattered. Alien leaders, from the crystalline Zetharians to the winged Illyrians, discussed what they had witnessed. Lura, the Illyrian ambassador, spoke softly. We underestimated them. Entirely. They are not just warriors. They think, adapt, survive. They protect, and they do not fear death. Chancellor Velron, the leader of the council, nodded gravely. We sent a call into the void, hoping for help against the swarm. No one could have expected. A pause filled the chamber. No one could find words strong enough to describe what the humans had done. The humans had changed the galaxy. Back on Vareth Prime, the aftermath of the battle was still visible. Wreckage floated through space, some vessels burning, others lifeless. Yet the human fleet remained organized, prepared to defend against any further attacks. Every pilot, engineer, soldier moved with quiet purpose. Captain Mara Cole walked among the wounded human crew, checking on their condition. Many were tired, some injured, but none defeated. She paused next to a young pilot, his suit scorched from the battle. Are you okay? She asked. The pilot nodded. I am. But the swarm. It was like nothing I've ever fought before. Cole smiled. You survived. That's what matters. And we'll face whatever comes next together. The humans were not just fighters. They were survivors of impossible worlds, and that made them almost unstoppable. Weeks passed, and the council slowly began to understand the full impact of the humans' arrival. They were not conquerors. They did not demand territory or resources. They had come only to answer a call for help, and they had succeeded where thousands of alien fleets had failed. Ward and his team began assisting the council in rebuilding their defenses. They shared strategies, helped repair ships, and trained alien soldiers in techniques that were alien to them, techniques born from survival on a world that could kill in seconds. The aliens learned quickly, but not without humility. Every lesson carried a quiet message. Humanity endured because it had no choice. Every obstacle, every disaster, every catastrophe on Earth had forged the human race into something stronger, faster, and more resilient than anyone could imagine. Admiral Korath spoke to Ward privately. Your people, they are frightening, not because they are cruel, but because they are unstoppable. What is it about your world that makes you this way? Ward's eyes darkened briefly, remembering his home planet. Earth is a harsh place. It does not forgive weakness. It does not reward failure. If you want to survive there, you must adapt. You must endure. And you must fight, not for glory, but because there is no other choice. Korath was silent. Then he nodded. I understand. And yet, it is more than that. Your courage inspires. Your actions, they changed the galaxy. The humans' reputation grew fast. Stories of their battles spread from system to system. They were no longer just a species of Earth. They were Deathworlders. Legends that other civilizations whispered about in awe. Even the smallest alien outposts spoke of them with reverence. Soldiers who had once feared the Void Swarm now felt hope. Merchants who had doubted the humans now sought their advice. Scholars studied their tactics and physiology, trying to understand how such beings could survive where others would perish instantly. The Council, once proud and self-assured, now treated the humans as equals, perhaps even as guides. Velron himself addressed Ward directly during a council session. You have saved countless lives and taught us what it truly means to survive, he said. The galaxy owes you a debt that cannot be measured. Ward bowed slightly. We did not come for thanks. We came because you called. That is what humanity does. We answer. Always. Yet not all was calm. Far beyond the outer rim, other threats observed the humans. Creatures and forces that had remained hidden, waiting, took note of these new, strange Deathworlders. They sensed strength and resolve, and for the first time, something stirred in the dark corners of the galaxy. But for now, the humans were ready. They had fought impossible odds, faced the unknown, and emerged victorious. Every trial had only strengthened their resolve. Every battle had proven that they were not just survivors, they were legends in the making. Commander Ward stood on the observation deck of the flagship, looking at the stars. Behind him, the crew moved silently, ready for whatever might come next. Captain Mara Cole joined him. Do you think they'll come again? She asked. Ward's eyes remained fixed on the horizon. Eventually, something always comes. But we are ready. We will survive. And we will protect life, no matter the cost. Cole nodded. The galaxy has never seen anything like us. Ward smiled faintly. No, they haven't. And they will never forget us. As the sun rose over Vareth Prime, the Alien Council watched the human fleet depart for routine patrols. They had come as strangers. They had fought as warriors. And they would remain forever as something more, symbols of endurance, courage, and hope. Even the youngest aliens who had seen the humans in battle told their children stories. Stories of creatures who walked through fire, survived storms, endured death itself, and yet protected others instead of conquering. The Deathworlders are coming, the elders whispered. And when they do, life survives. Across the galaxy, every civilization began to prepare for a future in which humans would be part of it. Not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as a force of nature, unstoppable, unyielding, and unbreakable. The legend of the Deathworlders had begun, and it was only the beginning. The stars shone brighter that night, as if acknowledging the arrival of something extraordinary. Commander Ward and his crew rested briefly, knowing that the galaxy had changed and humanity's place in it was now undeniable. They were no longer just humans from a distant, harsh world. They were Deathworlders, the guardians forged by extremes, whose courage and endurance would shape the fate of countless civilizations for generations to come. And in every corner of the galaxy, the whispers began, when the Deathworlders arrive, nothing stands in their way. The galaxy had survived the swarm, but humanity had survived the galaxy. And in surviving, they had become legends.